This episode is brought to you by the IFS Institute, now enrolling for their summer continuity program, IFS with Children and Adolescents, featuring Carmen Jimenez-Pride. The IFS continuity program provides advanced learning for those who've completed a level 1 training or the IFS online circle. With annual membership, you gain access to the 3 4-month programs a year, each curated to expand your expertise in internal family systems. As a member, you'll also participate in monthly live sessions with none other than IFS founder Dick Schwartz. It's a unique chance to get access to the most current applications of IFS. Learn more at ifsinstitute.com or check out the links to let them know that you heard about this at the One Inside.
Hey everyone, I'm Tammy Sollenberger, the author of The One Inside, 30 Days to Your Authentic Self. This podcast is for anyone curious about who they are, the different parts of themselves, and for those who want to connect with their true self. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another re-released episode. This one is with my friend Carmen Jimenez-Pride. She was on the podcast a year ago, and then we met at the annual conference in the Altogether Us book authors gathering, and she's just the most loveliest person. So when I found out that she was going to be involved in the continuity program, I was like, we need to re-release the episode to let everybody know about her and about a really cool opportunity to get more involved in IFS and the IFS community. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Carmen talking about children and adolescents. I am so excited to talk to Carmen Jimenez-Pride today. I've seen Carmen here and there all over the place, but I'm super excited. She has a chapter in the Altogether Us book. So I'm super excited to talk to her, get to know her, and talk about her chapter. So welcome, Carmen. And if you want to, you're welcome. If you want to, you can just start by where we always start, which is where you are in the world and what you would see if you look out your nearest window.
I'm currently in Augusta, Georgia. It's the home of the Masters. So if anybody is a golf fan, you probably know where Augusta is. So I'm looking out my window, which is kind of funny because I have so much stuff in front of the window. The first thing I'm seeing is this plastic drawer situation of my pen hoard. But if I look up over the pen hoard, I'm seeing a beautiful blue sky with green trees, and it's super calming and relaxing when I'm looking at it. I might need to move over my pen hoard so I can get that whole look of the outside of the window.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a good idea.
Like, how am I going to put my pens? Yeah.
So that's a part that's really concerned about your pens. But my guess is you'll be able to find another place for your pens that's not blocking that view.
I agree. I might work on that this weekend.
I feel like pens are like ponytail holders where you can never find one. Like why I've bought a million pens and I bought a million ponytail holders. I can never find any of them. What is going on?
There it is. I agree with you on that one. And it's finding that perfect pen that writes well.
All right. So what's your favorite pen? Like, what do you look for in a pen?
So I like my pens to be a little thicker. So like a Dr. Grip or a G2, the fancy G2s. And I'm a black ink girl. So my main ink is black ink. And then the second one is purple, because my color is purple. So it just has to write real smooth and it has to feel good in my hand.
Oh, I like it. And tell me about your color being purple, because there's purple, your hair is purple, you're wearing purple, your website is purple. So tell me about your love for purple.
It starts off when I was younger. There was like 3 colors that I got when I was younger, and purple was one of them. I was able to identify it, spell it, and just be able to pick it out. And it's just a beautiful color. And as I've gotten older, people tell me that purple means royalty. So I was like, oh, I'm royal. I like that. I think I look good in purple.
You do. It is your color for sure.
Yeah. So it's just stuck around for a long time and I love it.
Love it. So your chapter is it on play therapy or is it on children? What is your chapter on? A part of me is like, you should know this.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. We won't tell anybody.
Okay, good.
It's about play therapy, utilizing IFS with play therapy, that intersection.
Okay. And have you always loved play or have you always loved kids? Like, tell me how you got so passionate about play therapy.
Well, I have not always loved play and I have not always loved kids. When I was in my master's in social work program, I said that I did not want to do direct work. When I found out that social workers can become therapists, I wanted to be on the macro level as creating programs, reviewing policy, doing grant work. So that was what I wanted to do. Then graduated with my master's and could not find a job. So I had to go into child protective services. And that's kind of a thing for social workers. Like you come out of school and you go to child protective services. So I did child welfare for about 8 years. And through that time, I started to do clinical work. So I was like, okay, I'm tired of just being your typical social worker. Let me start my clinical journey. So 2010, I started that journey and got a part-time job and said that I wanted to see adults. Like, I'll do adults. And they were like, no, if you want to work here, we need you to see kids. So I was like, well, I want my clinical license. I need to get the clinical experience. I'll work with kids. And I was with my first kid. We were sitting and looking at each other. They finished their coloring sheet. And I'm like, what do I do with this little human? They're looking at me and might start touching me at any minute. So I need to figure out what to do. And Googled therapy with kids. And I came up with the different play therapy trainings and the association and things like that. And went to my first training and I was sold. And then it was like, oh my goodness, I love doing this. This is going to be awesome. I think I really like kids or, could really work with kids. And I have been rocking and rolling with those little ones ever since.
It's great. It's great. Isn't it funny how just like paths, I'm really working on this word unfold because my parts don't like to let things unfold, right? My managers are like, bam, bam, bam. Like we're not waiting for anything to unfold. But if I look through my life and look over my life, really super cool things happen when like just things just unfold. And it sounds like that's just what happened for you. It's sort of like you were like, nope, this is what I'm doing. Here are my ideas. And nope, like it just unfolded. Like your path just unfolded before you. I love that.
And even doing more macro type work in social work while I was working child protection, like I hate reading policy. Like I hate that. Like I love developing programs, but reading policy, writing grants, like I can't stand it. But that's what I wanted to do, right?
It's interesting. A part of you wanted to do that for some reason, a part of you thought that was going to be a good idea.
I think it's that part that don't want connection with kids because that part is still there. That part's still there. That I don't have to see or deal with kids and what they go through and effects of their parents and all of that. I can go and write programs for other people to be able to help them. I don't have to do that direct work. But now I can't see myself doing anything different. I love it.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And so then how does your IFS journey come along with that?
So I started my IFS journey in 2019 with my level 1. Well, let me back up. I'm lying to you. I started in 2018 and I did an IFS and coaching online program. And I was like, this is kind of cool. This makes sense. And then read some books, listened to some podcasts and YouTube videos and was like, I think IFS is the business. I like this. And did my level 1 in 2019. And then it's been IFS ever since. So level 1, I've done level 2. Recently did 2 level 3s, which is kind of crazy. I am now an assistant trainer. On my way, I'm speaking it into existence. I'm on my way to become a lead trainer. So I have to speak that into existence.
I like it. I like it.
So I'm a part of the lead trainer program. I am a serial PA. I love PAing. And it's kind of weird that I'm a trainer still wanting to PA, and I'm trying to back away from that. So it's just been knee deep in IFS.
Yeah.
And the way that I feel about IFS, I feel about play therapy as well. So I've been play therapist since officially since like 2016, but in doing play therapy type stuff since 2010, and became a registered play therapist supervisor. So a lot of trainings in that area, certifications, and now I'm combining that with IFS.
I love it. You must have parts that are like, if I'm into a thing, I'm going all the way. Like if I'm into a thing, yeah.
Kenny, keep talking about me. Quit. Stop that. Stop telling my business to people. Yes, I am that person. So like, if it's training or career based, I'm going all the way. If it's, I want to learn how to sew, I'm buying the sewing machine. I'm buying all the things. I'm going to have a sewing box, all the things, doing all the things. But that keeps my system settled. Like I'm a forever student. And I'm always saying that I'm learning from all of the different experiences that I'm connected to. And that feels good. The more I learn, the more I can shift and give out to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Love that. So tell me about then, your integration of IFS and play therapy. Like, how are you seeing that? How are you seeing it? How are you using it? How are you talking about it?
When I think about IFS and play therapy together, IFS working with children and adolescents, I think about automatically exiles and their protective system. And I'm always asking myself, and I ask other people, what if we can prevent the impact of that exile? I don't have the power, which sometimes I do feel like I have the power to prevent exiles, period. But the kids are going to experience things. We can't take them all out of their environments. We can't change all of their environments, but we can soften the impact of those burdens that they carry based on the experiences that they have. And that is where that work comes in with children and adolescents. And we get super creative with it when it comes in with play therapy. So integrating it is really looking at the child's protective system, because as we know, when working with adults, we can get past those protectors, get to that exile, unburden that exile, reassign the protector, and send them off. They're good to go. With kids, and I know I just said that like it's that easy.
Easy. That's what happens to me all day long.
But sometimes it takes a while, right? But when working with kids, we got to be careful because their protectors is what's keeping them going. And in some cases, their protectors is what's keeping them alive, and we can't pull them out of their situation. So helping kids identify that they do have parts, what those parts are, how those parts interact together, how those parts interact with other people's parts, especially their parents, and looking at the behaviors of those parts, whether they're extreme behaviors or not so extreme behaviors. Really getting them to gaining an understanding of that is so important when I do IFS with children. Because what I see is when they understand that they have a system, however that might look for them, they can get, okay, I'm in this situation and this is not everything. I'm dealing with this part, this situation, this parent, and now I know how to navigate this a little bit more, and they still have their protective system up. And while we're doing that, we're lessening, and I believe, according to Carmen, I say that when it hasn't been written yet, and this is just my words. So according to Carmen, we're lessening that impact of that exile, and they're not holding on to these beliefs. We're targeting those beliefs as we go and do that work.
That's good. I love it because that makes so much sense. And it also, I know this isn't a phrase, but it feels like it kind of strengthens their self, like it strengthens their confidence, because then they're like, okay, this situation's pretty awful, but I'm able to like, I recognize all these different parts and, how they're protecting me. And it gives them a little bit more like, we use the word, resilience with kids, which is probably just a lot more self. So that's what it feels like to me, is it like gives them, I guess it sort of gives them more access to their self.
Yeah. When I think about resiliency and children, they're super resilient. We don't give kids enough credit.
Yeah.
Because they deal with so many things, just being in situations that as an adult now, it's like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
But kids are out there doing it. So it's just amazing when they can have an understanding that they have a system and they have a protective system. And not only do they have a system, but their parents have a system as well. So I had just an example of that. I had a 12-year-old that had a hard time understanding, how can my mom discipline me, call me stupid, be upset with me in reference to grades, but yet still cook me dinner, still wash my clothes. And I'm like, well, your mom has a part that doesn't interact well with your math part, for example. And mom of 12-year-old math student, she wants you to get this math. And that part does not get along well and does not do well when your math part isn't doing well. And that's how we can look at it. So that kid was like, that makes sense. So it's just a part of my mom doesn't like how I respond and how I do in math class. But my caregiver mom is going to make sure that I eat and make sure that my clothes are done.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they said that on their own. They got that.
It's amazing, because imagine how much fear, right? Like mom is mad at me because I'm not doing well in math. And then like, she's not going to clean my clothes and give me food. Like I can't imagine. And then there's going to be exiles there, right? That like, I'm going to die, right? Like she's not going to take care of me. I'm going to die. So like for you to be able to explain that, for them to get it that way, like they figured that out themselves. Like, wow, how much ease and like just an ease with mom. Like ease in their system, but then even ease with mom.
Yeah. And they're not developing those burdens. And when they develop the burdens, those burdens weigh them down. So they're walking through the world a little bit lighter. And instead of having the burden that I can't get my needs met, they have that positive side of it. I can do bad in math, but I'm still going to get my needs met.
Yeah.
So they're not carrying around, I'm bad at math. I'm stupid. I can't get my needs met. I'm not loved. And the list goes on and on and on.
Right. And then we have a whole, protective system, protectors around those beliefs.
Exactly.
So tell me about then, how you're doing that with kids, like how you're teaching them about multiplicity, how you're teaching them about self using play therapy.
One of the biggest things I use in the therapy room is sand tray. I love sand tray. And with that is an opportunity for kids to externalize their parts. And kids are not going to come in and have what you see on TV. They're not going to come in and lay on the couch and tell you all the business, all the things. Sometimes they don't have a lot of words for the experiences that they have. So they can come in and they can tell me their stories. And this is where the witnessing piece come in. They can witness their trauma experiences, or they can give me the description of their protectors and what the job that their protectors are doing in the sand tray by identifying it and externalizing it and using different mediums. So that is one major way incorporating IFS in the playroom. And then I do a lot of parts mapping with kids. I think that's super important for me because I have a nosy part and I want to know all my kids' parts, and for them to gain an understanding that they do have a system. So we do a lot of mapping exercises. That's expressive arts where they're putting their parts on paper, still externalizing them. We're doing what feelings are connected with what parts. I'm trying to think. I can't think of all the things that I do.
I know it's hard. You're sort of like grabbing them out. You're like, oh, yeah.
let me grab that one. But really just parts mapping so they can gain an understanding of their system. And then once those maps are made, we're diving a little bit deeper into getting to know those parts. So developing that self-to-part relationship and befriending.
Yeah.
I tell them all the time, you make friends on the outside, we got to make friends on the inside. And they're like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but I'm going to go with you. And I'm like, perfect. Trust me.
I love that. And I feel like as adults, like, the adults that are listening right now, I'm imagining that like this is still good for them, right? Using Sandtray, externalizing their parts, like representing your parts on a piece of paper. Like I've done that before, with workshops, like represent your part, even if you write an X, right? Write an X, pick a color, because you don't have to be an artist to just represent your parts in some way. And then we can begin to create a map of who's here, who's responding to who likes who doesn't like who says what.
Yeah. And just like little things, I have a lot of Disney characters in my Sandtray collection. And on the play therapy side, I was initially trained that we don't bring Disney into the playroom. And I'm like, wait a minute. But I've had to go back and watch so many Disney movies because kids can relate to certain characters. Oh, Miss Carmen, my dad I see him as Black Panther. And go back and watch the Black Panther movie. He's resilient. He's a fighter. He protects his family. He wants the best. So now I have a better understanding of this kid's father.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might be a part that the kid wants to tell me about. So they're going to use a Disney character based on what they've seen in a movie. Even TV shows, what they see in the characters in TV shows, I can relate to that character. And here's the reason why. So now I have a better understanding of their part.
Yeah, that's great. Why would they not want you to have Disney in Sandtray?
So what I was told, per one training, that kids will not connect to it. They will start playing out the movie.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do that.
Right.
Kids might do that, but the older kids, give them an opportunity. Some older kids might do it too, but it gives them an opportunity to have that relationship, right. Especially when they can't identify or explain themselves. They can connect to a character. Oh, this is just like this character here. This is how I feel.
Yeah.
Part of me that resembles this particular character.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm guessing with some guidance too from you that like if they're playing out, Black Panther and another character and they're having a conversation that resembles the movie, you could be asking, what about that looks like home, or what about that do you like, or what, sort of that you can ask those questions, and they, it actually helps them with words, probably. Like they don't have the words, but that might help them with kind of finding the words because they know what the movie felt like or what kind of happened in the movie.
Exactly. And I've had littles that will reenact different things and they add their own twist to it. But a lot of my older kids that I'm doing, I would say some hardcore IFS work with and parts work with, I haven't had that problem. So it's been just as intended for them to get to know their system, be able to recognize different parts of their system and externalize it in an easy way, like the easiest way possible to a Disney movie or to just different characters. Because miniatures there's so many different ones out there.
Yeah. What's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, you just hit me. You hit me with that one. I love, love, love Princess and the Frog. I think because she's the first African-American princess, I love her. I have an unhealthy collection of Tiana stuff. We don't want to talk about it. So I want to say that comes number one. And I love Lion King.
What do you love about the Lion King?
Just the resilience of Simba. Like he kept going. He walked away and then he came back stronger and then really family focused. So I love that about him.
Yeah. Tell me about, so working with kids, you have a love for them. You have just such a passion for helping them and helping them with their situation. But then you also have to deal with the parents. And sometimes people say that the reason they don't want to work with kids or teenagers is because of the parents.
I've been there. I'm there. Not been there. I'm there. Yeah. Working with parents is a challenge.
Yeah.
I love each and every one of the parents that I have, even the ones that cuss me out, even the ones that won't answer my phone calls. I love them because they're bringing their child. So they trust me. Working with them, it's difficult. I'm just going to claim that and say that. But when you get, I say a toe in to the situation, it shifts. I'm very blunt with my clients when they first come in, and I always meet with the parent first before meeting with the child and the parent, because I want the parent to have an opportunity to talk the way they want to talk with me. I don't want them talking negatively about the kid in front of me, because I want to be able to develop a really good therapeutic relationship with my kids. So in that initial meeting with the parent, I'm telling them, you are a part of this process. And if you don't want to be a part of this process, then I'm going to have to rethink moving forward. So I am getting a buy-in from them day one. Now, granted, they can tell me, yeah, I'll be a part of the process and then disappear. I've had that happen. But I'm starting to talk about IFS, how I do things, how I'm only with this child for 45 to 55 minutes, once or twice a week, not twice a week, once a week or twice a month.
Yeah.
And they're with them so much more. And however good I think that I am, and I think that I'm really good at what I do, I still need their help. And I just let them know that you are the experts of your child. I'm coming in as just an assistant, and I still need you to work with me. And that brings forth a lot of buy-in. And then when I explain IFS concepts to them, like, okay, I know you love your child. You're bringing them here. You're here now. There's parts of you that really care. But I also know, and I'm like, you don't have to tell me today, but there's parts of your kid that you don't like. And like the deep breath right there that parents take, it's like, you're right. I love my child, but there's things that they do that I don't like. And I'm like, there's a part of you that don't get along well with parts of your child. So we can identify those, figure out what you need and how you respond, and bring forth, I don't say it just like this, but bring forth more self-energy, but bring forth more positive you. I might tell my client that you're able to deal with them a little bit better. And when I introduce it like that, they are relieved. And they really get, because now they can talk freely about how they feel. And then I'm telling them, if you were feeling overwhelmed before and your words are coming out, I hate you, then that's what the child is going to accept or hear and continue to move forward with in the world. But if you can come and say, there's a part of me that's not getting along well with a part of you, then it's just a part of them. They're not seeing it as a whole them. And parents are like, that's amazing. That makes so much sense. And I let them know that I am not asking you to be here every single week, but I need your buy-in, because there's going to be things that needs to shift and change at home, even if it's something small about how you view the child and the things that you say to the child. That's going to impact the work that we're doing and their progress. And parents are 90% of the time is on board with that.
Yeah, that's great. I love that, because you give them language, like you give them parts language, and then you also give them permission to say, yeah, there's a part of me that doesn't like my part of my kid. And then I can freely talk about that, the part of me that doesn't like the part of him. I love that. But that's still, even that teaching them that and telling them that still sometimes doesn't help them, doesn't get them involved in the therapeutic process.
Yeah, it doesn't. Giving flexibility and being able to say, I respect the fact that you work. I respect the fact that you have more than one child. I respect the things that you're bringing to the table. I respect that you're even coming to the table, bringing your child in. And this is what I need from you. I need communication from you. So doing creative things. Like example, having a weekly email. Parents are getting in the custom of sending me emails, giving me an update what's going on in the home. That's engagement,
Yeah.
and that's communication. Setting a time for a weekly or a biweekly call, that's still engagement. There's parents that I don't see often, but I hear from them every single week, and they're involved in a way that they can be for that moment.
Yeah.
Carmen, I'm super busy and I have a lot of stuff going on. I have more than one child, but here's an update on so and so. Here's what's going on. And I would recommend that you might need some work around these issues that are going on, and let me get you connected to someone that can help you. And they're more open to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they have a relationship with you then.
Yeah. Developing that relationship's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. What makes engaging with parents hard for you? Yeah. And how do you work with your system around that?
I think that sometimes there's fear there working with a parent, especially if you don't do what they want you to do. Like sometimes parents see like therapy as a dry cleaning situation. I'm going to drop off my cleaning and I'm going to pick it up after work. And I want it to be nice and pressed and shiny for me. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. So that concept of what parents want. And there's sometimes parents, they're super educated. Some of them maybe not so educated, and they don't have a level of understanding of the things that I'm talking about when I'm talking I call it my clinical talk. So fears around that, struggles around that, and just dealing with kids. Like I can do that. I can play with them and interact with them, but then I have to be a grown up when I go talk to the parents. And I want them to take me serious. And sometimes they don't take play therapists serious because they say all we do is play. Like, that's right. But I can switch it off and I can be serious and talk to you about some difficult things.
Right.
So it's just so many different things when it comes down to parents. When I work with my supervisees, one of the things that's been consistent is that parents thinking that they're not capable of doing their job because they don't have kids, or they may be young. You may have kids, but you don't have my kid. And what therapist really wants to hear that?
Right. Right.
So I don't even want to work with them because I want to protect myself.
Yeah. Right.
I don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah. 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 Right. It could really trigger parts of us, right? Like any parent or any client that would say something like that could trigger different parts of us.
Yeah. And one of the things I think a lot of therapists don't talk about is that we as therapists have a lot of trauma ourselves. So there could be a lot of childhood traumas there. And then working with different parents can trigger that trauma. The parents can resemble a parent or a caregiver that we have experienced, and we just don't want to go down that road. And it's so much easier to talk to an adult for 45 to 55 minutes versus having to deal with the kid and their stuff, and then knowing that I still have to deal with the parent.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to see teenagers a lot, like half my practice was teenagers. And there was a couple of moms. And I remember thinking, you would never talk to your own therapist this way. Or you would never, like, you're talking to me that way because I'm your kid's therapist. And so it was like patronizing and condescending. And it was unbelievable to me sometimes the way the parents would talk to me. It was just like, yeah, it was unbelievable.
I think that they don't take us serious.
Yeah.
And they have these high expectations. And I don't tell anybody, but I'm about to say it. And thousands of people, we go say millions of people's going to hear it. But sometimes parents, they just have this thing about their ability. So they're embarrassed because they have to bring the child to therapy. So their protectors are coming in. and trying to down us when they're the ones with the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And so isn't it helpful when you can see people in their parts, right? Like I wasn't, at that time wasn't seeing them in their parts and just, but you're totally right that, right, it's their own protectors that are talking to you that way because there's other parts of them that are feeling ashamed or embarrassed or helpless.
Yeah, IFS has really helped me with those parts of not wanting to work with the parents because I can recognize, okay, you're in a part. You just cussed me out. And that's fine because you're in a part. And I had a parent that cussed me out actually last week. And it was one of those good cussing outs too. And it was like, I wanted to take notes on some of the phrases that she was using. And she was like, you're not going to cuss back? And I was like, there's no need. You're currently in a part right now. And your part needs to communicate. So I am going to listen. I'm listening to that communication. And she was like, I wanted you to cuss back. Now I just can't cuss you out anymore. I'm like, well, you cussed me out for a good 30 minutes. I haven't said anything for 30 minutes. I have sat here and I've listened to you. This is your time. And she's just like, I am just so overwhelmed. I said, now we get to it. Now we're there. And that's just that overwhelmed part expressing itself. And I just happen to be the one that is getting the butt of it. And she was just so grateful that she was able to express herself and apologize for the way that she did. But then we did a little bit of work and she's like, that part feels so much better because it finally was able to be seen and heard, even though it was disrespectful. Yeah.
But if you hadn't been in some self, like if you wouldn't have been able to hold space for that and like that was triggering for you, that would not have ended that way.
Oh no, I probably would have cussed back, but don't tell me.
Of course, right.
Yeah, I've grown. Course. IFS has had me grow.
Yeah. So you're like, I'm only cussing people out a couple times a week now, so that's
right. Right.
So besides parents, what are some of the other challenges with working with kids in IFS?
Outside of parents, kids that they have a hopeless, I call it a hopeless part. And they don't think that anything's going to work.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then kids coming in thinking or feeling that therapy isn't going to be beneficial to them.
Yeah.
So those are challenges. And then kids are scared of their protectors. Mm-hmm. Just scared of their protective system, don't know what's going to happen, having a hard time connecting to their systems have been challenging. Mm. Like you have a part that's really angry. Let's figure out what's that anger about and let's acknowledge it. And them just having fears of going there. Mm. So me doing a lot of work with reassuring those parts, like, it's okay. We just want to hear from you. We're not going to ask you to do anything different. We're not going to ask you to stop working. We just want to give you a platform that you can be seen and heard.
Yeah. 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 So it sounds like, you do buy-ins with parents, but you also have to do buy-ins with kids and the parts of them that either think therapy is not helpful or no good, or they're hopeless, or they themselves are hopeless, or their situation is hopeless. So you have to work with those parts of them. Yeah, that can be challenging.
And sometimes it takes a lot more than, hey, look at my cool toys, Yeah. Of course, that's a part of the buy-in, but just really getting them to start exploring and just addressing those beliefs that they're picking up about themselves.
Yeah. It sounds like one of the ways that you work with that challenge is just to remember that they're in a part. And you're just going to work with the part that's whoever's showing up. So sort of working with that part in the sand tray, or working with whoever's there, just like we always do.
Exactly.
One of the things that you say is, I grow, you grow, together we will grow. So tell me about this phrase and what it means to you and how you're using it.
So it's a very tender phrase to my heart because it came from a conversation I had with my grandmother, and a saying that she gave me. And she gave it to me when I was younger. before all of education, before all the things. And it was just like a weird random conversation that we was having. And she was like, CJ, and that was my nickname growing up, Carmen Jimenez. She's like, when you become, you help others become. And I was like, what? Become what? Oh, okay, Grandma. Okay. And she was dropping those nuggets on me, and I didn't understand them at the time and didn't want to hear them at the time. But as I got older, it started to make sense because she said it a couple of more times when I started college and started talking about the things that I wanted to do with my life. So holding on to that discussion, I came up with a motto: as I grow, you grow, together we'll grow, which means I am constantly growing. And when I grow, I can help you grow, and then we can grow together. So that has been my motto, the basis of the things that I do, even writing the chapter, writing about and integrating IFS and play therapy. I have an organization called Diversity in Play Therapy, which we have a Diversity in Play Therapy Summit every December, which is virtual, that makes it accessible to people. We have it's been over like 23 continuing education hours at a really good cost, because as we know, as a professional, continuing education is expensive. And the goal of that is diverse populations, diverse clinicians doing diverse interventions. And that's a seat at the table for everyone, because I am a firm believer that there's communities out there, communities of color, that there's not a clinician of color available. So any clinician can come to the table and get the skill set that they can go out and work with various populations. So we're going into year 4 of the summit this year, and I'm super excited about it. And it's a place that, for me, I can have a seat at the table as well to talk about IFS and play therapy, because IFS is not considered a play therapy model, even though I'm integrating it, and I think I'm doing it very well. And this work is being done with children and adolescents. It's not getting the attention that it needs from the Association for Play Therapy. Now, I'm not downing them because I love the association. I'm a member, but they're so used to child-centered play therapy, Adlerian play therapy, these models that are directly created for play therapy. So it's hard to get other things in. So Diversity in Play Therapy is a platform that I can talk about IFS and play therapy, which has opened the doors, which I'm so excited about, that there's other APT branches, which is Association for Play Therapy branches, state branches, that has invited me to come speak about IFS and play therapy. So having that platform to do that. And then just going into doing additional trainings on IFS and play therapy.
That's great. And then what is Focus on Feelings?
Focus on Feelings is my main jam.
Okay.
Focus on Feelings let me tell you what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a curriculum. And I am not a curriculum writer, but it's supposed to be a curriculum and products to help kids increase their emotional literacy. So I'm a big believer that when we increase emotional literacy, we increase emotional awareness across the board. So it's a diverse set of feelings, and it starts off with 10 core feelings, where I'm teaching my younger kids 10 and then transitioning them to learning 20 more. So we have a total of 30 different feelings and emotions. They're multicultural. There's books, cards, games, puzzles, miniatures. So a whole product line that interacts with each other to help kids externalize their emotions.
Love it. I love it. And so where can people get this?
My main product site is playtherapywithcarmen.com.
Okay. And then what about where people can learn more about you?
CarmenPride.com.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I love it here. This is good. I love this.
Let's do our last question. Okay. So my last question that I ask everybody is, if you could do anything different and you had to do something different, because my first guess would just say they would do the same thing. And I was like, that's not the answer I'm looking for. So you have to do something different. What would you do instead?
As if I wasn't a therapist?
Yeah, if you weren't a therapist and a creator of all the things and a writer, what would you do instead?
I think I would be an attorney.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love debating and like crime type stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get with all the blood and gore of crime scenes. Like, nah.
Right.
But an attorney, like an innocent project attorney, working with individuals that has been wrongly convicted. I would definitely love to do that.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
And I say that, and I probably would be something total. I probably would end up being a teacher of like little ones or something. But that's the thought in my head right now.
Right, because there's that part that's like, I'm just going to do this. And it's like, actually, you're like, no contact with children ever. And actually, that becomes your favorite thing.
Exactly. So if not an attorney, it would definitely be like a preschool. I would have my own, but I can do things the way I want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that being an attorney probably would be easier than having a preschool.
Right. Probably so.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much. I'm excited for your chapter and I'm excited to hang out with you today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. And it's been such an amazing time.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you like this episode, please subscribe, rate, like, all the things. My book is available at your favorite independent bookstore or all the places books are available. You can also visit my website, tammysallenberger.com, where you can download a free meditation on getting to know your should parts. You know, there's parts of you who remind you of what you should be doing. They sound a bit critical at times. Yes, we all have them. You can follow me at IFS Tammy on Instagram and Twitter and the One Inside Facebook page. I'm so grateful for Jack Reardon, who created the new music. Jack is a graduate of Derek Scott's IFS Stepping Stone program. Thanks, Jack, for getting me. And to you, thanks for listening.